Hi guys. So, been an interesting weekend. Received some lovely models from James. Thank you very much, my friend. It's been awesome. So I've finally got those grey knights that I can finish my army with, which is gonna be really really cool. Been on my own this weekend. Do you know what's really weird? Like when my grandpa's here, and I'm looking after him all the time when I'm not in school, and I come back and I'm looking after him. I don't realise how much it actually scratches that other people itch. He's gone away gallivanting. You see, he's gone away chasing women because he's gone on his tri-monthly debauch. He's gone to Wales somewhere and he's having fun, getting pissed. He's left me here holding the fort, and it's really shitty. Like the house is really quiet, really horrible. Anyway, so I thought I'd come on and do a Sunday evening recording session because feeling a bit on my own. So I thought, fuck it, I'll come on and speak to you guys for a little bit and tell you about some hobby horror stories instead. So if you like my videos, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Always talk to me in the comments down below. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. And the Discord is free. As I say in every single video, the Discord is free. You don't need to pay for it. You don't need to give me any money on Patreon or anything like that. You can come on and you get a nice dose of hobby goodness on the Discord. You can talk to people. Talk to us, talk to anybody about anything that's going on in your life, whether it be hobby or otherwise, and we'll try and help you out. So, also, if you want to send me some of your hobby stories, whether they be nightmarish or nicer than nightmarish, feel free to head on over to Discord. There's a mailbox there for you to use. You simply use that, and you can talk to me, and we can have a little conflab about the hobby and all the horrible things or good things that you've been seeing over the past few years. So, first one is from Gooooooooo. And Gernund says, normally when I go to hobby store, I have absolutely no problem. Oh, sorry, I will slow down my reading. 1 second. So, Gernund says, hi Northern Exile, love the channel. Normally when I go to a hobby store, I have absolutely no problem with anybody there speaking or doing anything really weird. I'm a guy, in brackets. Okay, fair enough. That seems cool to me. Went there with a female friend, and everybody there fucking crumbled to dust. 2 people straight up left the store, and the employee was not even able to look at her. Every time she asked some questions, he would look at me and answer them as if I was the one asking. I swear, look, I'm not rereading these because when I go on them, they go from highlighted to not highlighted. I am seeing the same shit, week by week by week by week. There is so much of this going on in the hobby. But please, if this has happened to you, we've gone into a hobby store, because I'm saving these messages, by the way. If this has happened to you when you've gone into a hobby store with a female companion or friend or whatever, and people just keep looking at her, want her to do stuff, and, not might do stuff, you know what I mean? Like, are weeding her out, then please keep sending them to me, because I am collating them for a future video, which another YouTuber is helping me out with as well, with her experiences. I'm getting more stuff together. That's going to be like an hour or maybe even 2-hour video when I'm finished with it. But yeah, this does seem to be happening more and more and more often, which I really, really, really hate. It's not great. It's not a great look for the hobby at all. If you don't know how to speak to women, as I said in another video, go and find your gamer, Chad. There is always one in every single store. Go and find him, right? And say, listen, man, I'm a bit weirded out by talking to women, blah, blah, blah. As much as gamer Chads act like Major Kill and people like that, if you went to somebody like Major Kill and you said, look, I'm having these problems with women, he would give you a straight, honest answer. Be like, okay, man, let's talk about, what you're doing wrong, that sort of a thing. But yeah, do not act like a creep in these hobby stores. Just leave people alone. Just want to be there and do some hobby, Right. Okay. Let's have a look at our next one. So, Grelskindia says, I would like to have a nice conversation about my hobby store, but unfortunately, I really can't. Okay? I'm a guy, and most of the things about females that I've been seeing on the channel, sorry, this is not very good vocabulary, some of the things that I've been seeing about females in the store on the channel, well, this kind of thing happens to me as well. My old store was kind of like this. and there are parentheses, where I had to push through random strangers trying to explain the basics of the game/lore to me when I just wanted my hit of plastic crack. The first time it happens, you just think, oh, it's nice. Everyone wants to welcome people into the hobby. Which, with each consecutive visit, you slowly realise it's just an assumption that, nearby girl equals cannot possibly already be into Warhammer. Okay, so you said you're a guy. Oh, no. You didn't say you're a guy. Right, okay, sorry. I misread that, guys. I apologise. So Grelskandia says she was there with a guy. I'll just read it again. So, my store was very much like this, where I had to push through random strangers trying to explain the basics of the game/lore to me when I just wanted to get my hit of plastic crack. The first time it happens, you think, oh, it's nice. Everyone wants to welcome people into the hobby. With each consecutive visit, you slowly realise it's just an assumption that girl equals cannot possibly be into Warhammer, and everyone wants dibs to patronisingly info dump onto you. Also, shout out to the guy who pestered me incessantly about whether I'd paint my guardsman pink. Okay, so, two things on this one. Number one, yeah, don't do shit like this to people when they're coming into the hobby store. Don't be a dickhead, right? And number two, it is coming from a good place, and I recognise that. I'm not one of these, man-hating white knights who, try and jump in front of women. Hey, guys, leave her alone. No. I know this is coming from a good place. I know you guys are trying to explain to someone and welcome him into the hobby. And let's be honest, you're hoping that by doing that, she's going to pull your pants down and suck your penis. I mean, that's how guys generally think. I mean, we are a bunch of animals most of the time. But you have to recognise the fact that when you're going into a hobby store, when you're going into a hobby situation, the normal rules of approaching women have to go out the window, right? I know you feel like, this is directly to those guys as well, I know you feel like when you're out in the world, you're in a bar, you don't feel like you can approach a woman or talk to her because you don't have anything in common. And then as soon as you see somebody in a hobby store, you think, great, here is my chance to strike up a conversation and be the white knight and to help people and to make sure that they get what they need out of the hobby. I understand that. But at the same time, no. You need to let people find their feet. You need to let people just get in there, see what's right for them. And, most of these girls have been doing the hobby for longer than you, which is only going to make you butthurt when they tell you that and you start going within yourself, right? So the best thing to do is to allow them to get on with their hobby. Or, hey, do you know what? Maybe challenge them to a game. And don't act like a douchebag when you're doing it, right? And play the game and see where it goes. It is what it is. So, let me go to another one. Let me go to my next one. All right. I'm starting to get one that isn't too long. All right. Kush Crowd Chowder. Kush Chowder. Okay. Says, hey man, love the channel. Thank you very much. And he says, I've never really had any bad issues at Games Workshop. Never had an issue, as the store managers run a pretty tight ship. At my local game store, however, he says, fucking paedophiles. Ooh, okay. I brought my niece to the local game store to get her some Pokemon cards. She doesn't play, but loves collecting them. Anyways, we were there minding our own business when one of the shop goblins, guy who basically lives there but does not work there, I've had many of them in my store over the years, kept coming up to us to offer such advice on what to buy. I kept trying to nicely tell him we were good and just browsing and such. He doesn't get the message. Then starts making comments on how my 11-year-old niece looks, saying how hot she is and such. What? Dude, I when I read the rest of this story, it better be, and then I smacked him in the mouth. That better be the rest of this. Okay. Then he starts making comments on okay, yeah, I've read that bit. This gets me really fucking heated, as it should, Kush Chowder, as it should. But I keep my cool and firmly tell him to leave us alone. He doesn't. I go to the store owner, who is just standing behind the counter kind of snickering. He tells me there's nothing he is going to do. So fine, we're leaving then. We're putting the cards back, and the owner is now giving us grief for wasting his time. Then that fucking goblin approaches out as we're leaving to lift up the back of my niece's shirt. Nah, man. So, all right, I'm gonna rewind this. Either this story's bullshit, or you are literally the Dalai Lama. Like, one of the two. Because 98% of blokes would have smacked him the second he started saying how hot she was. Like 10 minutes ago, but he would have been getting a smack. Like, and I really want to. Right. So he says, I then lose it. Okay, cool. I hauled his fat ass out into the street to publicly dress him down. Fat fuck tries to throw a punch, and I put him on the pavement. Good. Shouldn't have taken that though, man. You should have just absolutely caned this guy from the very start. Shop owner calls the cops on me, and they show up. Took a while, but they sided with us after they talked to my niece. Police did fuck all though. And this isn't the first time I've had interactions with people like this in the tabletop gaming community. I've never met such vile, self-hating assholes like I have in these places. Everything from blatant cheating to open racism and sexism. It's like these people feel rejected by society and then do everything they can to prove who they are. Sorry for bringing you down, man, but this is just the experience that I've had in my local friendly game store. Well, I'm really sorry that you've had those experiences, man. Like that sucks. That really does suck. And there is no way shit like that should be happening in the hobby. I'm telling you now. You have the patience of a saint, because if somebody did that to me, I'm thinking the police also went on your side because you weren't on the premises, so you probably did the right thing in getting him out of there. But I'm telling you now, like, I would be in serious trouble here, because if somebody did that to my niece, or even worse, my daughter, I think I would absolutely, I would be reaching for the nearest spikiest model, and it would be going straight up his arse. Without any preamble, straight up his arse. And that snickering twat behind the counter as well. Yeah, I would literally lose my shit if this was me. But you did a really, really, really good thing there, man. In you handled it. And as far as I know, this could be bullshit. You could have dressed this up and spent the night in lockdown. I don't know. But from this, you handled it exactly as you should do. And your last point there is very interesting. And that's speaking about racism, sexism. We've gone across that a few times, but it's that last line I wanted to look at again. It's like these people feel rejected by society, and then do everything they can to prove why they are. I mean, I literally cannot have a go at you for saying that, because if I'd have had all of these experiences, I would be exactly the same as you. But at the end of the day, I've had many good experiences in hobby stores, and I've had some really shitty ones too, but most of them have been really good ones. The fact that we've come across this so many times is devastating, and it's horrible, and I really hope that it gets better. That's all I can say, man. That's all I can say. You did the right thing, and moving on. Okay. 2 wow for me. It says, "Hey man, love the channel. Hello. How are you?" And he says, "It's actually funny." Hang on, I'm going to turn my music down a little bit, because I know you guys are... There we go. That's much better. There we go. So, it says, "Hey man, love the channel. Thank you very much. It's actually really funny. My first ever Warhammer game was a game store horror story. Okay, cool. But everyone was super aware of it and was super apologetic. Alright. I just walked into Games Workshop one day with my AdMech army looking for a pickup game. And one older guy said sure, but he only had his overpowered, at the time, Knight army with him. Him and the store manager both warned me I'd probably get stomped, but I said it was fine. I just wanted to get some experience playing. We laughed the whole game as his Knight, Atropos and Armigers dismantled my army piece by piece. My engine seer model is now fondly remembered for plinking his Atropos right in the eye with his last pistol, not once but 3 times. Pretty cool. All right, I like that. That's really cool. I mean, I think as a hobbyist, going in with the mindset of you're already going to get stomped is a good way to go, without getting pissed off about what's going on in the game. You know, I find that a really good attitude to have. And yeah, you did exactly the right thing. You know, that they were polite. They warned you straight away what the list was like, and you could have felt free to say no, man, I'm okay, thank you. You know, and they wouldn't have thought any less of you, I suppose. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Really nicely done. I'm liking that. That really does sound really cool. So, Meg09. Hello, Meg09. This is the fourth actual female who watches the channel. Hooray! Hello, nice to meet you. So yeah, long time fan of the channel. Thank you very much for all you do. Blah blah blah. Thank you very much. Yep, yada yada. I'm starting to do the Bill Burr thing now. When somebody compliments the channel, I say thank you very much, and then I skim past it to get to the actual message beneath it. Okay, so she says, being the female species of the species, my awful local game store, okay, treated me like ass and shouted at my kid for looking at a brush when she knew I needed a new one. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm a bit confused because you say she and then you say he after that. Treated me like ass and shouted at my kid for looking at a brush when he knew I needed a new one. Okay. He humphed and hard at me when I was asking a couple of questions about Warhammer 40,000. And he was getting impatient when he seen his mate come in, and I just grabbed the daughter and walked out without buying anything. Sod them, they don't deserve my money and if they're going to be dicks about it. Well, that's really shameful behaviour, and it shouldn't be happening, and I'm very sorry that did happen to you. I tend to think some of the people who work in hobby stores or Games Workshop or whatever tend to be on the autistic side, or they tend to be. When I say that, I mean some, like one in five, maybe, you know. But they tend to be people who have really poor crowd control. They have really poor, how do I put it, people skills. But they have really good skills at kissing up and being fans of Warhammer. If you're those two things, you're going to do well at Games Workshop, especially if you can toe the party line and never step out of it. You're going to do really well. So unfortunately, you will come across creatures like this, who, you know, tend to spoil the hobby for you when you go into a hobby space and you go into a hobby store. But yeah, I'm very sorry that you had to go through that. That sucks. Okay. Yeeted MD says, "Hey man, love the channel. Thank you very much. My girlfriend and I walked into a game store. Okay. A guy comes up to her and asks if she's really into this kind of stuff. She answers that she likes it, but she's there with her boyfriend. The guy then says, 'So you're not here of your own accord?' Turns around and sprints out of the store at full speed." What? So you're not here of your own accord? That just sounds like a really... thank you for the message, Yeeted. That sounds like somebody who's just really awkward around women and just realised that he just said something really fucking stupid. Really, to be honest with you. Okay, so Requiem of Chaos says, "Hey man, love the channel." Okay, thank you very much. Not from the game stores. I don't play the tabletop game. I just like the lore. But a small part of the reason I like Thousand Sons, in addition to generally liking them as a faction and Magnus being my favourite Primarch, and the entire reason I like Dark Angels is out of spite towards the Space Wolves and their obnoxious fanbase. I'll come back to this in a minute, but you're now one of my favourite subscribers. So, most of the Wolves players I've ever met have been aggressive douchebags who only care about the Vikings in space aesthetic, which to me is the least interesting part about the Vilka Fenrika. Right, okay, cool. I prefer the fact that they're basically the only chapter that could be described as chaotic good. And they tend to talk shit about literally every other faction. I doubt that holds up among Wolves players in general, but the ones in my area tend to be pretty hostile. Okay, cool. So, let me pile in on this. So I saw a video the other day, and I'm going to talk to it. I'm going to talk about this, the reason why I don't like Space Wolves at a later date. But there is a video out there by Brother Alpha Busa, where you have Grandmaster Coven. You'll know which one I mean. The Digger Knobs one, you right? Where two Grey Knights come up to him and say, "Look, we've found these disgusting wolfen," and he says, "No, they're not. They're Digger Knobs, essentially, you know." And the joke is that he doesn't understand that these aren't Wolfen. These are Wolfen and not Digger Knobs, because they're, Digger Knobs had beards back in the day. But the real reason under that is that Coven is trying to alleviate any war with the Space Wolves again, right? He doesn't want the Empire to be the Imperium to be torn apart again. So he's making like a really cool gesture there of like, no, leave them to it. They're just fine, right? So everybody gets the joke, right? Everybody gets the joke, apart from the Space Wolves fans. The Space Wolves fans in the comments below that video, go and look at it. The comments below that video are constantly railing against the Grey Knights, calling them pussies, calling them everything, and calling their players like idiots, and like why are they doing they get their shit pushed in and all this sort of stuff. It's almost like they haven't read the lore, which is hilarious, considering what they're referring to. The first conflict between the Grey Knights and the Space Wolves. It's called the Months of Shame, and it's when the two chapters basically went to war. But it's mainly a cold war. Like, nothing really went on. It's more like, they besieged Fenris for a while, then just didn't. They just went, okay, well, guess we shouldn't be doing this, But they were saying, Logan Grimnar was killing loads of Grey Knights. No, Logan Grimnar killed one Grand Master, and that was when his back was turned, when he wasn't even expecting to fight, The Space Wolves just started hacking them to bits for doing their job essentially, and like getting rid of people who could be chaotically corrupted. So I get what you're saying, Requiem of Chaos. A lot of the Space Wolf players that I've come across, I've met two really nice ones in my time, really nice ones, who just like Space Wolves. They like wolves. They like the aesthetic. They like what's going on with them. But yeah, I have come across a lot of Space Wolf players who are very obnoxious, who are very in your face and very overly aggressive and very dismissive of everybody else's armies and background lore, because they think that because their legion and their chapter is full of idiotic braggarts who are very loosely confined not to this reality, that they have to be that way as well. Which isn't true, right? It just is what it is. One other thing I would say is, for the main part, put it this way, right? If you segue, if you support Liverpool Football Club, okay, I have nothing against you, okay, but everybody else in the country hates your fucking guts. Now, they don't hate you because you're successful, as you like to say, right? They don't hate you because you're better than them, as you like to say. They hate you because you're willfully obnoxious, you play the victim all of the time, and you believe that everybody should love you as their second team simply because of who you are. Does this ring any bells, Space Wolves fans? Because the very reason why everybody in football hates Liverpool is the very reason why most people in the hobby hate Space Wolves and the people who play them, right? That's why. So, I know people who play Space Wolves who are just as infuriated with their own fan base as I am, right? And on the same token, I know plenty of Liverpool fans who hate most other Liverpool fans because they're just like, you're just all obnoxious assholes. What are you doing? Shut the hell up. Yeah, you're not better than everybody else. Just shut up, right? That's it. And Space Wolves are exactly the same. It's exactly the same feeling that's dredged up in me whenever I get a comment like this. Because it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And it is like they haven't read the lore. And again, if you go and watch that video of Brother Alpha Booster, it's only 50 seconds long. It's really funny. But it's spoilt by the comments. The comments are all mostly Space Wolf vitriol, just celebrating the fact that they beat, quote unquote, the Grey Knights in a war, which they didn't, by the way. That's just an outright lie. You're either lying or you haven't read the lore, right? That didn't happen. It was a draw at best, And the Grey Knights went, okay, we'll leave you alone because we've got bigger fish to fry. Our entire chapter can't be here fighting you, arseholes, so we're going to go out and actually face demons, because that's what we're meant to do. But yeah, Space Wolves and the Law get away with a hell of a lot. Even with the Fury of Magnus, which was bullshit. You know, they should have gotten their absolute shit pushed in, and they didn't. You know, it was just one of those... You know, now Fenris is this hellhole full of demons, but that just means they get to fight more demons, which is great. You know, create stronger Space Wolves. So yeah, just going into Space Wolves, it is not what I wanted to do on this video, but hey, you know, you sent me the message, so that's what you're hoping for. That's what you got. So next one is from Green Mage on Green Mage YouTube. Let me just I want to see if this guy has actually has a YouTube channel, because if he does, then I'll shout it out. Anyway, yeah, this is from Green Mage. Nice to meet you, man. And he says, well, there are a few stories here. He says, first, last week, I was talking to a chap at my game club. He was bragging that he'd never lost a game and just won another game today. I was curious by this claim, so I asked to see his list. He presented a 2,000 point list of Knight, Thousand Sons, Black Legion. The army was a heavily min-maxed competitive army. Absolutely no theme, mixing in Greater Possess with Marks of Khorne, and then Helldrakes and so on. I was very impressed, and asked him if he got the list off the forum, and what tourney he was in. The chap admitted he was not in a tourney, and when I asked if he was playing a casual game, he said yes. He then added that he had never played competitive. I feel bad for whatever poor sods have to play him, expecting a casual game. Now, I'm with you on this one. I'm afraid I wouldn't call this guy out to his face, because he seems like quite a nice chap, you know what I mean, who's just showing you his list and stuff. But it does really seem to me that this is not the way that you want to be going about getting people to play the hobby with you. Nobody's going to play you if you have a list like this in a casual game. I am a casual gamer. If somebody did this to me when they come out with a fucking really overpowered list that's just way over the top, I really would take a few steps back and say, right, is this the kind of guy I want to be playing? And if I read this list before I played him, I'd probably say to him, listen, man, do you have any other list that you can play with? Because I'm going to tell you now, my list is very fluffy. And if I play this game, it's a foregone conclusion. I at least like there to be a chance that I might win, even though I probably won't, you know. But if I haven't seen this list beforehand and I'm taking this guy at face value, which I often do, then I would probably start to be like, okay, guy, calm your shit down, okay? You're not playing for blood. You can chill out, you know. So anyway, second story. He says this one's a bit longer and was from when I first started playing. Okay. Back in public school, I formed my first Warhammer group. Ah, cool. Met a chap named Logan, and we hit it off right away. I ended up with the entire Fellowship of the Ring. Ah, so did I when I was in school. Must be similar age. And all the protagonists from The Hobbit. Games Workshop models. I ended up lending them out to him for fantasy stuff and from time to time. Alright, cool. When we played, however, he would blatantly cheat. I once had a game where I never even got to play. I was Tau, Emperor forgive me, and Logan was playing Mixed Guard and Space Marines. He claimed his Commissar had a personal teleporter and used it to drop his Commissar and a couple of squads into my gun line, directly into melee. He also told the Necron player at the table to go straight after me. By the time my turn came around, I had one crisis suit and one transport with a squad in it, both of which were in melee. Logan informed me that my tank could not move, and my squad could not disembark while being attacked by scarabs. My crisis suit failed to kill anybody, and died at the end of my melee phase. For the rest of the turn I sat there, whilst my tank was stun-locked by scarabs, until it died, and then I was informed that the squad auto-died. At the time I believed him, and did not realise he was cheating until I started playing with other people. I also never paid attention to his dice rolls, so I have no idea if he cheesed them. He probably didn't need to, even if he did. Yeah, again, I think I covered this in a previous video, but people like this are the worst, because they do it with plausible deniability, as I said in the last video. You know, they're not outwardly cheating. They know you don't know the rules that well, so they're going to get away with it. I would love to see if this guy tried this with an actual gamer who knows their codex and knows the base rules, because you don't auto die when you're even if your transport explodes, you don't auto die. You can't teleport directly into combat. There are certain things that are baseline rules that everybody knows, because to not know them is to invite death, essentially, by somebody like this, who's a piece of shit. But also sounds like a very young person, so I'm not trying to rake them over the coals here. So Green Mage says, later on, our group chat got political. Ooh, I know how that goes. With it amounting to him arguing that women should be property and just exist to give men children. He said I can include screenshots if you want to see them. I'm cool. I'll take you at your word, man. I called him out and he opted to block me. And so for the non-English speakers there, I went very quick. I called him out and he opted to block me and refused to give back any of my Lord of the Rings and Hobbit models that I had lent to him. He also attempted to create a new gaming group without me. Unfortunately for him, I owned all the mats, books, rules, dice, and terrain. So good luck with that, wanker. Also, I had assembled his lemon rust tank and with Elmer's glue, kids craft glue. So have fun with that, Logan. That's quite funny. Okay. I enjoy the show and keep up the good work. Also, any thoughts on Lamenters? So a few things there. Okay, number one. Yeah, groups getting more political. We've attempted to dissuade this on the channel Discord. Our channel Discord is strictly apolitical. There is no politics discussed there at all. We don't want anything but hobby and writing and general life stuff on there. There are separate channels if you want to go and vent your frustration with life and stuff, and in a safe space you can do that. But the main channels are basically hobby channels where everyone can come together and discuss the hobby and what they want to talk about, right? But I totally get what you mean when things get more and more political and people start to push the envelope more and more of what's acceptable or not. With you on that one. It's difficult. It's difficult. It is. But you challenged it when you saw it, as I try to do whenever I see people taking things a bit too far. And you did the right thing. Him blocking you and stuff is pretty shitty. I will tell you now, everybody on the Discord that I have quote-unquote disciplined, quote-unquote, and said, look, you can't do that. None of them have done that to me. They've all been super cool and understood why I did it and got on with it, essentially, you know what I mean? And even if they're repeat offenders, they realise that they've gone a bit too far and they wind it back in. And most of the time, they apologise, too, to me and the people that they offended, which is great, which is cool, right? Any thoughts on Lamenters? Okay, so I really like Lamenters. Lamenters, if you don't know, guys, are a Blood Angel successor chapter who are struck with terrible bad luck. I actually really like Lamenters. I don't like their colour scheme, but I think the colour scheme is terrible on purpose. I think that Games Workshop did that as a a wink and a nod to the fact that they're just pretty shitty, and then they're always going into really bad situations. But yeah, I really like the Lamenters. I really like the Celestial Lions for the same reason, is that they're underdogs. Like, the luck is always against them. Well, luck or the Inquisition is always against them. So I'm really behind those two chapters, and I hope that they get a repeal one day, and they get to do some badass stuff in the lore. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Lamenters. So, that is the talk this time round of Hobby Nightmares. I hope you guys enjoyed it immensely, as much as I did. Have a lovely week ahead. The Astral Blades will be with you towards Tuesday, as I'm just chopping up that video now to get it all together. And towards the middle of the week, we'll be doing more Hobby Nightmares, and then we'll be doing another Games Workshop video towards next weekend. So, love you all long time. Have a really good day. Have a really good week this week. Hope you had a good day at work, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. See you later.